So I've played a total of 6 matches now. I wasn't able to join during the practice sessions, but the game was fairly easy to pick up. But as I've learned through the matches, there is a lot to the game that isn't super obvious right away, but there's mechanics that make it more than just go and find the artifact and escape.
Hmm.
I've seen some other players use some interesting strategies and whatnot. But starting from the top, can you tell us a little bit about what SOS is? What is this game from your perspective?
Yeah, I look at it like it's entertainment. And when I say that, what I mean is I think we're at a point in time where we have to step back and look at the entertainment industry as a whole and see that you have video games, you have streaming, you have television, and you have reality TV, and that all these things are starting to resemble each other in a
Mhm.
lot of different ways. When I think about what this game is, I think of it like it's a game show, and that's how I want it to develop. That's how I want it to feel. But I think that what makes it really unique is the fact that the viewers can be connected live, and can give real time feedback and eventually do some other things as well.
I see. So it looks like our match is now up, so we can actually join that. But
Okay.
before we even dive into there, I do notice that when you first go into when you hit the play button, you're met by what looks like 5, 10, maybe 12 cast members in total, each of which can be customized with various items and colors. Well, not so much items, but rather color schemes to try to
Hmm.
kind of customize them a bit. So
Yeah.
right off the bat, it does actually look like you're partaking in a TV show of some sort. And as we dive in, the thought of Lost goes through my mind almost immediately.
That's funny. Lost was actually the original inspiration for the game. Over
Ah.
time, it's changed a little bit. I think more and more we've been inspired by the Hunger Games,
Hmm.
but Lost was actually the original inspiration, because it was because I think it was very relatable. I think it's very
Hmm.
easy when you design video games to go into sort of bizarre territory to justify some of the gameplay that you want to put in.
Hmm.
But we always hope that it would feel like it's relatable characters and somewhat relatable situations. Um, so yeah, it's when we think about the characters and the situations, yeah, Lost was the original inspiration.
Oh, I see. And we'll see that as we get in. You can see a lot of wreckage and whatnot. Now, is there like a overarching lore that's that's behind this game? Like, why are these what is what is going on here? Were these individuals are they on a TV show? Is that what it is? Did they choose to come to this island and risk their lives?
Yeah, we're not giving away all of the details of the fiction
Mm-hmm.
because, honestly, some of the details may change as we try to
Mm-hmm.
perfect it. Yeah, the idea is that these are people who have signed up to be on a television show, and that part of the television show is going to this island to go find these ancient relics and to take them away from the island. And as I said, we're not giving away all the details of what the fiction is because actually we want people to have a little bit of fun, sort of filling in the blanks. Um, but but what I would say is that the game takes place in sort of an alternate reality. The characters probably look a little modern day, but
Mm-hmm.
some of the technology in the game is kind of 1980s.
Ah, I see.
Uh,
I see.
and so yeah, the idea is that these are people who have signed up for a game show, and the game show promises fame and fiction, and you can imagine all sorts of different reasons why these characters might want fame and fiction, or sorry, fame and fortune.
Ah, I see.
The studio was actually started by myself and two guys that I've
Mm-hmm.
worked with for a really long time, actually, Sachin Pansurya and Brad McKee. Sachin and I worked together for about 17 years now, and Brad for about 15 or so years.
Mm-hmm.
We worked at EA and Visceral Games together on some of the James Bond games and
Oh,
Dead
cool.
Space games. And when I left EA, I was the creative director for the Dead Space franchise. And then the three of us went over to Zynga because I think we wanted to go try doing something a little bit more experimental and something that was a little bit more focused on multiplayer.
Mm-hmm.
So we went over and we worked on Farmville 2. And we did that for a few years. And I think that we felt like, we still had this itch that we wanted to scratch.
Mm-hmm.
And I think for us, it really focused on wanting to build games that that were entirely multiplayer focused and made players feel like they're performers. So that's where we began, and we the first 9 months or so of the company, we were totally self-funded. We were just basically trying to figure out exactly what game we could build that would interest us and sort of fulfill the mission that we had, which was to go build games that turn players into performers, and to get everyone to stop thinking of themselves just as sort of anonymous or lone players, but to feel like every game is a stage. So we were self-funded, but then ended up getting some help from the guys at Benchmark, who funded the guys behind League of Legends, behind Discord, and a bunch of other stuff like that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Well, that's quite interesting because so you mentioned how you wanted the players to feel more like performers as opposed to just these anonymous characters in a random game server, and you can see that right off the bat with the way that the presentation and the introduction of each match starts, where each player that's in the match is seen on a stage, and the game seems to remember their past experiences with other players, and they have a moment to try to almost role play out the character that they chose and ultimately customized. It's interesting because there's only a handful of people who've tried this game so far. I imagine. Well, actually, I don't know the full breadth of the testing that's gone involved, but of the folks who streamed it this past weekend, now I believe everyone was a streamer, so naturally, the notion of role play probably went through most of their minds, and it was interesting to see people act out the characters and almost have their own little storylines within the game itself. Do you think that the average player is going to be doing similar?
I do, and I don't think everyone will be as entertaining as you all were. We know that not everybody is necessarily a great entertainer, but what we believe is that that people's behavior changes when they know that they're being watched. When people know that they're being watched, people sort of naturally just start to behave more like entertainers. So we know that people's behavior changes as a result of being watched. And
so with all the tools and stuff that you guys have put into the game, it almost pushes you in that particular direction. As someone who may not have tried to put on, I guess, a show for others, because maybe they're used to playing games like, Call of Duty, for example, or the various other multiplayer titles out there, where the objective is generally win, as opposed to win and maybe a little bit more than that.
Yeah, so right in the front end of this game, you see that there's a leaderboard. One of them is for skill, and it's basically just how often you win. And there's another one that we call the fame leaderboards, and that has it has some somewhat complex analysis behind it. It takes all the feedback that you get in the game, and it tries to rate basically how famous or how entertaining you are. So that's something that we're still working on. But what we think is that as soon as people realize that there's more than one way to score someone in a game, that if you score them not just based on wins, but if you score them based on how entertaining they are, and if you can focus the audience feedback on giving people positive encouragement.
I just managed to die.
Oh yeah?
Yeah,
All right,
one of
so you're probably just
the harder
seeing
mobs.
me sit here. I've just been sitting here hiding this whole time so I can focus on talking. So, and I see that I've got a bunch of people watching me now, so I should probably go do something entertaining. All right.
So that's
Go
interesting.
ahead.
I didn't realize the top left corner of the map. By the way, this was all scripted. I intended to die to show the screen. This top left corner of the screen. That's the how is it? Is this because of got Twitch connected to the game? Is that where the data is being pulled from? That's quite interesting.
Yeah. So if you
Oh,
connect
I
Twitch
see.
to the game,
Yeah.
then we'll know how many people are watching. And if you're watching me, it knows that you basically have a camera in the game, and that the camera is watching me. So right now, it's telling me that I have 58 people watching me.
Ah, I
Um,
see. I see.
so what we want to do is we want to just sort of treat the idea that every camera that's live in the game, the game recognizes, and so that's part of how we turn every player into a performer.
And it's quite interesting because I did see that in addition to having this in-game overlay displaying these statistics, there's also emojis that players that I believe were once in the game, and also people who go to the game's website. They can not only watch the streams from there, but they can also use these various emojis. Can you tell us a little bit about that and how that ties into fame? It almost does feel like people are watching from their own cameras, sort of like in the introduction screen.
Yeah. So Hero.tv is it's a platform that we're working on, and what it's all about is it's about figuring out how to engage everybody in the stream. Right now, if you go on Twitch, we know that there are a lot of people who just like to lurk in the chat channel. And what we think is that if we were to build an experience that's a little bit more like a theater or a stadium, where people can give applause, they can laugh, they can do the kinds of things that just feel really intuitive that we're all used to doing, rather than just limiting interaction to chat channels. That we're going to engage a lot more people, and that by engaging a lot more people, the people who are playing sort of inherently feel more like entertainers. When you get positive feedback and that you're being watched, everyone's behavior changes. So we're hoping that a big part of what this game does, and a big part of what Hero.tv does, is literally turn every player into a performer, rather than just the select few who choose to opt in to streaming on Twitch.
Absolutely. So, speaking of, was this really the first test? Like, did you guys do any play testing prior to it? Because it seems, even mechanically, a lot of the stuff is quite balanced. Now, there's some things I could see and imagine could be tweaked a bit, but that's the sort of feedback you're looking for from the folks who want to see slight changes one way or another. I mean, that kind of goes with any kind of multiplayer game.
Yeah, we're always going to get a lot of feedback. Making multiplayer games is always so fun because there's never a shortage of opinions and feedback from the players. This is actually really the second time that we've exposed it to people. The first time was much earlier in the year, around March. We had a really, really small group of people who played it, and it was just really, really early in development. And so, this is the first time that we feel confident in really giving it to a large group of people.
So some of the questions that I know came to mind as I was playing the game was I've noticed that as a player in the game, whether it's yourself or somebody else gets bitten, which you appear to have done a little while ago, you get a green marker underneath. And if you're actually playing the game, you start to notice an infection start to overcome your body and take you over until you either eventually get a cure, are able to keep your infection at bay via eating mushrooms and other things of the sort, or alternatively, you end up actually becoming one of these creatures on the island. Now, I've noticed that you don't actually get to control the infected being. Is that something that you guys are still kind of considering? Maybe something you may add in the future, or was it not something you added simply because I could imagine it could be abused by folks who want to grief because they're pretty powerful.
Yeah. So this game actually began as a kind of a standard zombie game, and it was honestly really inspired by games like DayZ. So as soon as we started designing the game, we started realizing that there was just an opportunity to do something a lot more suited, different and unusual, that would stand out with people. So the idea was, hey, all these people have built zombie games, but there has never been a zombie game that we're aware of that actually does the most interesting thing about zombies, which is that you can get bitten and infected and then become a threat to other people. I'd love to know from people if there has been one that's done it, but we weren't really aware of one. And we thought, what a fascinating multiplayer mechanic, to be able to get infected and then feel like you're part of a team that needs you, but at the same time you're a threat to them. So that was the idea, and the reason that we feel like it's the right design decision to not let you play as a zombie is, suddenly that becomes an incentive for you perhaps to become a zombie,
Right.
to then start trolling other people. And we wanted to do something that was a little bit more pure here, which is just focus on survival and the threat of infection, but not necessarily let you play as one of these creatures. They're based on zombies and zombie lore, but they're, as you can see, they're not actually zombies. We call them hupia.
I see. Well, it's interesting you bring that up, as well as looking at the architecture here. Is there any particular location this game is taking place in? Looks almost like Aztec, like.
Yeah. So the lore of the game is based on real lore from the Caribbean. So
I see.
So the idea here is that this is an island somewhere in the Caribbean. And I don't want to give away too much of the lore.
Right. Absolutely.
But because actually, we think that by not giving all of it away, it's kind of fun for people to play with it. But you can actually go out and do a little bit of research on Hupia, Hupia, and sort of draw your own conclusions. But yeah, I'll leave it at that. I think we want to just leave a little bit of the lore and some of the thoughts about what actually is going on here up to the community to see if they can get creative with it, and we'll see if maybe at some point in the future we.
Well, then the nice thing too is with the amount of people who are trying to, go into a match, whether the one this past weekend was private, so it allowed for folks to consistently do the role play. May not be the same on public servers, but nonetheless. Time is up. Oh, it looks like it converted.
Yep. All right, so game over.
So
yeah,
it's by leaving it open, it does let people kind of, I guess, take their imagination to a wider range of different ways. Maybe by putting in too much lore, maybe all of a sudden now there may be less ideas being thrown out.
Larger. Hey, there you are.
Oh wow, we actually found each other.
Hey, let's high five.
Oh, here we go. So let's talk about this. We got the high five system now. So for those who don't know, this is the way that both me and
Right
are going to team up. Now, what does this mechanism do exactly? Does that mean I cannot do damage to you anymore? Is that the deal?
No. So this is a dangerous game. It's a survival game. We never prevent damage from happening. So you'll have to be very careful if you're firing a gun at somewhere near your teammates. The idea here is that most video games have a very simplistic team system where you can join Team Red or Team Blue, or something like that. And what we thought is so interesting about survival games, and what's interesting about the real world when people try to survive, is that you get much more nuanced alliances happening. So in the real world, you might be allied with someone, but you might not be telling me, because by telling me, you might realize you might give away that there's a conspiracy against me.
Right, too much information or something like that.
Yeah, yeah. So what we really really love about survival games, and about not just survival video games, but people that are in survival scenarios, is that there are all sorts of different strategies that people can take that involve different ways that you can socialize and work together with other people. So sometimes you can cooperate up until the point where you have to kill them. Sometimes you can cooperate all the way until the end. Sometimes you want to make people think you're cooperating when you're actually not. There's all this really awesome gameplay that you don't get when you build a sort of traditional team-based game, because it makes the rules fairly black and white. In this game, what we wanted is a game where the social the social elements are really really deep, because you never know who you can trust and who you can't trust, and that all the different ways you can work together are kind of fluid and very unpredictable. So you can ally with people, but that doesn't dictate exactly what you have to do with them. You can ally with people and then kill them if you want.
I see.
So it leaves you always sort of looking over your shoulder, and it makes you want to keep coming back to work with people so that you can learn who you trust.
Short-term plans, and I'm going to say short-term for most of these questions, because I understand it's very early for some of the things you probably want to do, but then once reality comes, you never know what's going to happen. But are there any short-term plans for having additional islands? And even to tone back the question a little bit, thoughts on making it so every time you jump in the game, it's a little bit different in terms of where things spawn. You already mentioned the artifacts aren't always in the same temples, but the guns and the cars where they spawn to add a different gameplay experience every time you go in.
Yeah, so there's some randomization that happens right now. The buildings and the trees and all those kinds of things are always in the same location.
Right.
But the items inside of them are randomized. So you
I
won't
see.
always find the same things every game. But you'll tend to find the same types of things, just not maybe in the same quantities, or you will swap out items like guns and things like that.
So every time you jump in, you're not going to just beeline it to a particular place, knowing that that's where an item is. Though there may be some strategy involved, because obviously the artifacts are always in the temple area. I've noticed, certain, I guess, tiers of items are in certain locations. They're just not guaranteed to be there. So you can still have the strategy, but it's not something that you could just consistently have a certain path that always wins you the game, because all of a sudden that's not fun anymore.
Exactly. We want this game to be highly replayable. We want it to be a game that people are playing years and years down the road. We're big fans of games like Counter-Strike, and we're to this day I still play Counter-Strike. And if you think about it, it's been
1.6 or global offensive.
Yeah. So we would be thrilled to have this game last that long.
Right.
So we'll be doing lots of things to make sure that it's very very replayable, including whether or not we do it ourselves, or whether or not we let the community, but there'll eventually be new maps as well. So that's one of the really big hopes, is that we can eventually get to the point where we leverage Unreal's tool set and we let people start helping us. I will say, I'm not going to make any promises there. We want to make sure that the game is really solid before we ever consider letting the community start to tinker with it.
Right. No,
we
absolutely.
want to make sure that we deal with security problems and things like that. So we don't want people exploiting a lot of the game. But that's the goal, is to eventually get to the point where the community can help us with this game.
So in terms of launch, like you guys are coming, you're attempting to move from alpha into beta, and then of course from beta is going to be the release. Are there any specific release plans that you guys have? Well, what are the plans for that? Are you guys going into early access on Steam? Is the game going to be available through the website instead first during the alpha stage? And I guess the big question in chat is, has there been a thought on what the pricing is going to look like?
Yeah, so we're not talking about release date or price yet. And it's not because we're trying to avoid the question. It's more just like, hey, this is literally the first time a lot of people have even seen the game.
Absolutely.
And so we don't know how much work left there is to do. We don't know if people even like this game, So we've been just in a mode where we're thinking, what we have to do is get this game into people's hands and see if they like it. And if they like it, then we can talk about how we get it into their hands and
absolutely
what it should cost and all that kind of stuff. So
and that's really what the start of Monday is going to be, bringing in a bigger player base and looking at not just their feedback, but seeing what happens.
Yeah, this whole thing, not just this game, but our whole company, Outpost Games, has been a big experiment. Oh,
this is us cheating right now on Discord.
Yeah. All right. So let's see if we can actually.
Oh yeah, that's probably a good idea. I don't think I think most folks have seen the game at this point, because we at least in my channel. But those who may be watching this on YouTube or whatever may not have seen how this artifact looks like or how we gather it.
Yeah. All right.
See if we can try to kill this. We could run away from it. Maybe. Oh, maybe not.
Yeah, I don't have any weapons yet.
Okay. Yeah. Let's bounce.
I'm gonna punch him here.
Oh snap!
Oh
shit! Was that you?
I think I might have just punched you.
Oh,
all right.
Well done.
There we go. Okay.
I haven't quite figured out that mechanic yet. I haven't killed someone with my fists. That needs to happen sometime soon.
Yeah, if you hold the button down, it sort of winds up and gives you a real sort of powerful hit.
CD1 just said this game could use a laugh track. That would actually be really hilarious. If some of the emotes would actually result in like a laugh track being played through some speakers that may be mounted somewhere. Now, I'm not suggesting that it be done, during before release, but if there was a different map, and maybe this is an idea I'll throw your way, if there was a different map that had speakers that actually caused something like that to occur, whether it's booing or laughing or something along those lines, I think that would be hilarious.
We've been
right
thinking about some ideas like that. All right, are you out in the center there?
Maybe if we both punch him in the head at the same time. I don't think we could kill this guy. I got a guy with a relic.
Oh shit!
He's just chilling right now.
Oh wait, there's a bunch of them in here. Where are you? I've lost you.
I'm gonna go back to the door we were at before. I woke him up.
Okay.
Oh god. Oh shit! All right, I'm gonna run.
Where are you? There you are.
I don't think we could. Oh shit! Okay, you've got one too.
I don't know.
I'm right behind you.
Okay. I'm disoriented now because I'm just running. Uh-oh, I'm infected now too.
Oh crap!
And all I have
to kill this guy
is a knife. Oh, I'm dead.
Oh, I got him. Oh, you're dead. All right, I'm gonna try to. You know what? I'm gonna try to solo this guy. I've never. Now these guys are hard to kill. I've noticed because they've got the idol. But who knows?
Yeah. Yeah, just it's all about using the block, and hopefully you have some papayas to heal yourself.
I do have a papaya. Yep. All right, come on. Oh God, these guys are a lot smarter than the other ones. The way they dodge you and everything.
Yeah, these they're definitely a lot tougher, and they have a lot more health as well. So you really want to team up to try to find and
Kill these things. A couple crits. Oh, I'm getting low. I got this. I got this. Oh shit. All right, I think I'm gonna back off and eat a. Oh, perfect. He fell down. Eat, 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 eat. No, don't. Let me eat, damn it.
Watch out,
I'm
bud.
hungry.
There you go.
All right.
So you can throw the melee items too, right?
Oh, can you really?
Yeah, you can middle mouse button.
Oh! Destroyed. Yeah, going after these guys solo is always a bad idea. I mean, even when I was going, I remember when I was doing this with a team, it took a while for even 3 of us to kill him. It was close. Well done. Great question in chat. PS4, Xbox version. Too early to think about that?
Yeah, it's too early, and the reason is iterating on this game so fast.
Yep.
And when we go live, we want to iterate on really fast.
Mm-hmm.
So on consoles, there's just there's a pace of development that you're kind of forced to slow down your pace of development because it's got to go through so many checks and controls from Microsoft and Sony. So we would love to do it, but I think what we want to do is we want to get the game really kind of dialed in first, because on PC it's just really it's a lot easier to kind of go crazy changing the game all the time to try to get it right. Whereas
get it right on the PC and then think about going in a different. Oh crap! What are we gonna do now? Oh, one thing I only just realized is you've got different flags spread across the island. Now, this one's got a kind of a medical biohazard sign on it. There's some with guns. So you get a little bit of a notion of what to expect when you see these flags. And they're different colors, too. I think it's blue for the weapons. Can we jump and... Oh, God! Oh, I'm good. I'm good. Just a little fall. Just a little fall. Maybe just a sprained ankle.
Yeah.
Warhound says, what are the emojis? This is one of the things that that Wright was talking about in terms of viewer interaction. So during these matches, you noticed during the weekend, players were able to go to hero.tv/twitch/dasMEHDI or any of the other various broadcasters who were playing, and they were able to actually send live feedback to the game in real time, which helped determine the fame and the reactions and the ultimate the end fame results and whatnot. Not to mention, as people do it, the broadcaster themselves will live see the emojis popping up on the overlay. We should probably look for weapons, I think.
Yeah, so
some of these guys have been
asked me about
scaring
the
me.
flags earlier.
Oh yeah.
So just a few things. Yeah, if you see something that looks like a sort of policeman, that means that there are likely to be pistols. If you see the biohazard flag, that means that you're going to find medical kits and antidotes for the infection. If you see one that looks like 3 bullets, you're likely to find. And if you look where I'm pointing up in the sky.
Yeah.
So if you see crashed airplanes or helicopters,
Yeah.
they'll usually contain flare guns. So the boxes that have flare guns, you won't be guaranteed to, but you're likely to find them around.
Interesting.
So the flare gun is really the key to the game, because that's your way off of the island.
I noticed that too, because so often, if Oh, look at those 6 matches. The flare gun was always the bottleneck because folks started to. I mean, it's kind of natural to be like, well, the temple probably has the artifact, and
Yeah.
they get the artifact, but look, now they need a flare gun, and to many extents, if you have the flare gun, not only can you call in the loot supplies, but you can pretty much camp with it and wait until you go and ninja. Go ahead and ninja the artifact for someone else and just dip.
Yeah. Now, do you have any lockpicks here?
I do not have any lockpicks. And for those who are wondering, some of these things do have you need a gun or a lockpick to pop these open. So that's a flare gun right there. But we could take note of this. Like, we could take a look at our map and we could be like, okay, so we know where the flare gun is. That will get us off the island. So if we just remember that location, and it's N5, so N5, we can go get an artifact. Well, we probably need some weapons first. Probably need a gun or something.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. I'm really excited for tomorrow. Guys, can we show Wright some love, as well as Outpost Games and the others in chat who've been helping out? Thank you so much. I appreciate that. And I'd love to, catch up with you guys sometime in the future as the kind of game develops into its final stages.
Well, thanks so much for having me on. It was really, really fun to chat. And just anytime you want to chat some more, look us up.
Awesome. Well, guys, I'd like to. That was pretty amazing this weekend, being able to check this game out and also being able to sit down with Wright, both the CEO and creative director behind this title. This game, we do have a handful of keys to give out. But before you do, be sure to check out their website. Can we get a link to their website? SOSgame.com. Boom, right there. As I mentioned, you can sign up for the alpha right here. Alpha starts tomorrow. We got some keys I can throw out for those who are interested. Just type !SOS. You know what? I'm going to make this a lot easier. Hey, guys. I hope you liked that clip. If you want to see more awesome content, be sure to hit subscribe. And let me know what you think by hitting the like button or, leaving a comment down below. Catch you later.